A very good afternoon to all of you once again. So, we are here now for the second session of the ongoing debate on the topic that is livelihood, not life, the more pertinent issue in India during the COVID crisis. Call upon the first speaker of the second session that I have with me is Ms. Roopkatha Biswas from class 12 Humanities. She will be representing Emerald House. Roopkatha, please unmute yourself better.
Okay, then I'm starting.
Yes, sir.
How agonized we are by how people die. How unconcerned we are by how they live. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rupkata Biswas from Class 12 Humanities, representing Emerald House. For the next couple of minutes, I will be speaking for the motion on the topic, is life or livelihood the more pertinent issue in India during the COVID crisis? The present COVID crisis has brought the entire world to choose between lives and livelihood. For India, what Mr. P. Sainath has said is apt and can be justified by true facts and data. As per a news article published in The Wire, 383 people have died due to the punitive lockdown. Among them, over 300 have died due to starvation, railroad accidents, denial of medical care, police brutality, exhaustion, suicides, etc. All these jobless workers were dying to return home in search of alternative livelihood through farming in their native villages or through Manrega. Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, or CMIE, says unemployment rose from 6.7% on 25th March to 26% on 19th April. 14 crore people lost employment while salaries were cut for many others. Whereas Economic Times says more than 45% of households across the country have reported an income drop compared to previous year. 53% of business in India was projected to be significantly affected. Moreover, sources like Money Control reveal that the top 4 IT companies like TCS, Infosys, HCL, and Wipro fired more people than they hired during the quarter ended in June, which amounts to nearly 9,000. Indian Express reported that almost 4,400 people have been laid off by top service companies like Uber, Ola, Swiggy, and Zomato. The above data only emphasizes that for a country like India, which already has high rates of poverty, unemployment, and individuals suffering from depression and anxiety, this pandemic is just like a worse cyclone to hit after independence. This is like another public health crisis which is rearing its ugly head, and a new danger which may unleash more deaths and despair than the coronavirus itself. Those in the unorganized sector and daily wage groups have been at the most risk. As per World Bank's report, India's GDP is likely to contract by 3.2% in the financial year of 2020 and 21.
Time's up.
Hindustan Times indicates that if agriculture and government sectors are considered to be least affected by the rest of the economy, is expected to contract by 7.2%, then now what does contraction in GDP mean? Income will be less, jobs will be less, and jobs will be lost further, which means unemployment will rise more. So, lastly, I would like to conclude with a quote of Karl Marx that every child knows a nation that ceased to work, I will not say for a year, but even for a few weeks, would perish. Thank you.
Thank you, Roopkatha. Thank you very much for your insight. And now I would like to call upon my second speaker of the session, that is Ankan Biswas from Topaz House. He is from class 12A, representing Topaz House. Ankan?
Ma'am, shall I begin?
Yes.
Yes, please.
All right. Good afternoon, Honorable Principal Ma'am, judges, teachers, and my dear friends. Myself, Ankan Biswas from Class 12 Science A, representing Topaz House, feel highly privileged to share my views on a very serious issue prevailing in the recent times. Is livelihood, not lives, the more pertinent question during the COVID-affected India? And I stand completely against the motion. Well, before I begin, I'd like to ask everyone present over here to think of all the memorable times they've had in their life. For most of the people, it will obviously include all the happy times, but for some, it may be a bit emotional, but is surely going to bind you with the feeling of nostalgia. But did we ever think about that one thing which was common for each one of us? Yes, it was being alive and conscious at that particular moment. Life can be defined as a complicated twist of suffering, rejoicing beautiful moments, and learning. It's a roller coaster ride in itself, but we need to understand the fact that this ride comes to an end when our life does. Thus, this clearly explains that no matter how harsh the situation gets, if we are in our proper health, we can definitely find out a solution for any sort of obstacles. History proves that even at times of international crisis, like the World War, people who had suffered drastic loss could cope with the situation in the near future and begin a new livelihood. But for the unfortunate ones who couldn't even save their lives, not even a single ray of hope was left for them and their loved ones. Talking about the present scenario of our country, amidst the environment of sheer stress and panic due to the pandemic, we come across the news every day about people getting killed and dying in huge masses. 6,000 in the last 24 hours, 8,000 in the last 24 hours, and the number keeps on increasing. Obviously, we cannot ignore the destructive nature of the virus and the lack of availability of proper medication against it. But when we look deep into this issue, we find that one of the major reasons for rapid increase in the number of COVID cases in India is the negligence of the people. They have taken their lives for granted and prioritized their work and livelihood, which led to such miserable consequences. This simple thing should be understood, that once the intensity of its destruction reduces, things can be brought back to normal. But we won't be left with any means of reassuring ourselves when our health is at risk. Even our Indian government gave importance to lives and not livelihood, and initiated the course of periodic lockdowns to ensure that the death rate could be minimalized. Therefore, I'd like to conclude by saying that despite of the universal truth that life and livelihood go hand in hand, but in present circumstance, we ought to give importance to life because there is no livelihood without life. And as the great poet Dylan Thomas said, "And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light." That's all I have to say. Thank you, and I wish everyone a very cheerful day ahead.
Very good, Uncle. If you can strike a chord with your audience, nothing like it. And very well researched also, I must say. With that, I would like to call the next speaker from Emerald House, that is Ishan Raha. Ishan, where are you?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Audible.
Please start.
A very good morning to one and all present over here. I'm Ishan Raha representing Emerald House. Today, I will talk for the motion on the topic livelihood, not life, a more pertinent issue in India during COVID crisis. Nowadays, whenever we open the newspaper, the one thing which every day comes in the front page is the news of corona patients. Every day, we come to know that a large number of people are affected by corona, a number of people recovering and dying. But do we know that there is another disease which is spreading faster than COVID? It is unemployment because of economic slowdown. In Avengers, Thanos exclaimed that he is inevitable. In today's real life, the same sentence is being said by unemployment to those whose livelihood is at stake. It is one of such a thing that you don't even have the chance or probability to recover, unlike COVID. Few days ago, World Health Organization, WHO, tweeted that recovery rate in India of corona patients crossed 63%. But in the case of losing your livelihood, there is no such percentage of recovery. In a country like India, which is a developing country, wherein majority are in lower income group and also below poverty line, struggle daily to make their both ends. A country where there is shortage of drinking water, shortage of electricity, shortage of education, but there is never shortage of problems. And now came such a time where people are not allowed to work. According to the World Economic Survey, 93% of the total workforce in India from the unorganized sector, which is 41 crore out of 45 crore people, don't have a steady income or any job security. When most of the people are now dependent on savings, let me tell you that savings is a limited source and not everyone has a fortune of saving money. This debate rests on the classic argument between probability and inevitability. According to the Indian Council for Medical Research, the mortality rate during COVID in a country like India is 3.02%. In that case, we are not sure of an impending death. If we contract the virus, there's quite a substantial chance of getting cured. or even being an asymptomatic
Yes.
carrier.
And
In
this
such
fellow
a
has not
case,
even looked
a
at the camera
complete
even once.
lockdown for an indefinite period to save the countless lives
Pointed.
from falling prey to the virus is absolutely absurd, because that would affect the livelihood of millions and make the economy of the country vulnerable. This brings us to the question of inevitability. Loss of livelihood, especially for migrant workers and thousands of people working in the organized sector, means starvation and subsequently suicides. I would like to conclude on an interrogating note. Would we like to lose our source of livelihood for a mere probability of that? That is food for thought for you, my esteemed opponents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ishan. Please.
Good
Kohinoor, you may
afternoon,
start.
respected principal ma'am, judges, teachers, and all my worthy opponents present here. I am Kohinoor Bhomik from class 11 Science B representing Topaz House, and today I am going to speak against the motion that livelihood, not life, is the most pertinent issue in India during COVID crisis. Both life and livelihood are the most important component of one's existence. But when we have to prioritize any one of them, life always has an upper hand on livelihood, because without life, everything else, even livelihood, is meaningless and immaterial. Just think about it, that the concept of livelihood would not have existed if life itself did not exist, isn't it? Now, let me take the privilege to quote one shlok from Gita. Chintani yahi vipadam, apadeva pratikriya, na kupam khananam, yuktam, pradipate vahinina grihe, which means that we must always be ready to face worst situation in life. It's too late to show concern and take remedial steps after facing a calamity, just like it is futile to dig a well when your house is already on fire. Here, the well refers to your livelihood, and the burning house refers to the crisis that you face in life. If we stay inside the burning house trying to dig a well, thinking that it will help us come out of the crisis, we will finally end up our life in the burning house itself. In such a situation, it is always wise to save our life first so that we can dig as many wells as we want in our future. Looking back at history, we find that during pandemics, people suffered a lot. Development got delayed. Even many people lost their livelihood, becoming incapable to lead their life to the fullest. But which slowly, when everything recovered, life came back to normal. These people again earned a livelihood. As a matter of fact, those who survived the pandemic went on to enjoy a better standard of living, which proves that hard times in life leads to a better future if we can persist with it. Whenever stuck in any crisis, one must remember that nothing in life is permanent. Every hardship will end one day and good days are about to come. So it's important that we do not put our life at stake for livelihood or any other issue, because life is much more important. If we lose our livelihood, we can earn it back again. But if we lose our life, we will not get it back. Thank you and have a nice day.
Right, absolutely right. Tough times do not last forever, but tough people do. Moving on, we have our next speaker, Monjima Saha from class 11, again representing the Emerald House. Monjima?
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes.
Give a man a fish and he will eat for one day. Teach a man how to fish and he will be feeding for the lifetime. This is a famous Chinese proverb that emphasizes on the importance of livelihood for the very existence of mankind. Good morning to all present here today on this virtual platform. I am Manjima Saha, speaking in favor of livelihood. This debate is quite similar to the classical egg and chicken casualty dilemma. What comes first, the egg or the chicken? Of course, without any doubt, we can say that life comes first. But is it just enough to be born? Don't we need to live? But oh, my dear friends, in order to live, we need a livelihood. Without basic necessities like food and shelter, how are we going to survive? In fact, my esteemed opponents can always counter me by saying that this is an extraordinary time which needs extraordinary measures. Hence, stay at home, sanitize yourself, and wash your hands, and the virus will stay away. But do we not realize that we need to go out and buy the soap or the sanitizer? Try asking a migrant worker who has walked thousands of kilometers from Rajasthan to West Bengal. Sanitize your hands before you eat that one packet of puffed rice being provided to you and your family of 5. How elitist can we be? How indifferent and arrogant can we become? For example, a 2-year-old wakes up on the platform to her mother who refuses to wake up in order to satiate her child's hunger pangs. So do we not realize that what is hunger? Hunger is the most important thing in the world, and it is more painful than any other disease in the whole world. So if you throw the question of death, if you throw the fear of death on our faces, did we not die out of lack of treatment, other diseases, road accidents, construction accidents before? If a train runs over us in the country, we will still be questioned. The nameless, faceless multitude. Why would you sleep there? Didn't you have a better place to sleep? Yes, we will be questioned. It's better that yes, we will be having a cake if we don't have a bread. Our apologies for choosing
Time's up.
livelihood. So my plea to you, coronavirus, bring it on. We choose life over than just surviving on government doles. Thank you.
Very well said, beta. Very well spoken. Very well. Right now, we have the last speaker from Topaz House, that is Rudraksh Chakravarti, again from 11th Humanity.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, all yours.
I will request other speakers to mute yourself, other participants to mute yourself, only the speaker speaking, if you can unmute yourself. Let others present here, please mute yourself.
Very well said, my praiseworthy judges, respected teachers, housemasters, and of course, my other praiseworthy opponents. My name is Rudraksh Chakravarti, and I will be speaking on this thoughtful topic, livelihood, not life, the more pertinent issue during COVID-19 crisis. Besides, I will be speaking against the topic. My leading question would be, what is the difference between life and livelihood? As we know that life is a biological process which begins with birth and ends with death. And between this game of birth and death comes livelihood. Now, my succeeding question is, what is livelihood? Livelihood is nothing but the way of life between the course of birth and death. As we know, the meaning of life is unchanged for everybody on this earth, but the perception of livelihood varies from person to person. But my point of debate today is not about life versus livelihood. We all know that both are equally important for survival, but which is a more opposite issue during times of this global crisis, that we have to know. Now, when the virus spread voraciously in the country, people panicked so much that the government took initiative to lock down the country for people's welfare and well-being. But the people of India didn't reciprocate and support this measure taken by the government at that time, which is 4 months back. Still today, most of the people are taking this very serious problem nonchalantly. Numerous people are not following, which is in my opinion, a wise set of strategies prepared by the government. They're looking after our safekeeping, but people are still reckless. The government is trying the level best to ensure that we don't have to go out for any of our needs. Everything has been provided to us. Livelihood has been provided to us, but life is not provided to us. It's a gift to us. Online classes has been taken by schools. Work from home has been done by employees of many corporations. Online food serving companies like Swiggy and Zomato have delivered food to our doors without thinking about themselves, so that we can have the food we want without going out. And also, it would be naive not to mention the doctors who are working day and night to cure the infected person and produce the right remedy for the virus. It's a new virus. We all know it. And also it's a new enemy. So rather than being a rebel without a cause, like most of the people were thinking that it's nothing, we can cope up, but I'm sorry, it's not that easy. Number of positive cases has crossed 1 lakhs, and the death toll is 30,061 in the country. And mind you, it's a recent statistic.
Time's up.
We can at least down the rising curve by following the rules. So I want to conclude just by saying that life is precious. So we have to enjoy every moment of it and have to continue our fight against this unseen enemy and abide by the guidelines until there is a permanent cure. Because once Desiderius Erasmus quoted, prevention is better than cure. Now it's up to you to decide which is the more pertinent issue during this crisis. That's all. Thank you.
Well spoken, Rudraksh. With this, we come to the first round of our debate, wherein all the 6 speakers have spoken for and against the topic, and it has definitely given us a lot of insight. Now, I would like to call Shrija Chakravarti from Emerald House for the rebuttal round.
Ma'am, I'm audible?
Yes.
Yes, Srija and Sarthak, both of you going for rebuttal. I will again like to tell you, like the previous rebuttal, at the stroke of 2 minutes, I will tell you time. And when you're finishing up 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will tell you time's up. As you're preparing it, a mark at 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes, 30 seconds, time up. Time's up. So you can start.
Good afternoon to one and all present over here. Today, I, Srija Chakraborty from Emerald House, is going to respond to the arguments put forward by my opponent team. So let me just take you from the very first. The first corona affected person was found in 31st January, and the lockdown was imposed from March 24th. Then can I just ask you one thing, that what happened in between it? What are the measures we taken? Are we prepared before? Whenever we say we should be prepared for the worst, then I don't think so we were prepared. So let me tell you, the battle is right now is not between lives versus livelihood. The battle is between lives versus life. Both the cases, lives are getting in threat. I know we are protecting ourselves from coronavirus. We have to protect ourselves from coronavirus. But if we don't give something to our stomach, which is food, how we are going to live? I mean, if you say that health is wealth, then food is also something which is related to health. That if you don't have money, you can't be able to buy food. And if you don't have job, you will not have money. Here, Nobel laureate Dr. Abhijit Banerjee said that to give money directly to 60% of India's poorest population to increase their spending power rather than giving them loans or packages. We have to look for the debt cancellation. Here, debts are increasing. Atmanirbhar Bharat, so many funds have been said right now in this whole debate session, but let me tell you how long will the fund will go on? Obviously, it would be a disgrace for a country like India to run through funds. So here, one of my opponent speakers said, when there is life, there is livelihood. Now let me tell you, life and livelihood, here both of them are interdependent with each other. If you don't have the money to buy certain things, certain foods, medicines, everything, then it's not able. At least even coronavirus testing kits also 3,000 rupees is needed. So I would like to say right now, let's concentrate which to take. Will we take the bad or the worst? Because the choice are just two. Thank you and have a nice day.
Well said, Shrija. Now coming on to the last speaker of the day, and a very powerful speaker, I presume. We have Sarthak Sarkar from class 12 for the rebuttal round. Sarthak?
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, all yours.
Principal, ma'am, chairperson, judges, teachers, my worthy opponents, friends, countrymen. I come here to bury logic, not to praise it. The words that men say, live after them. But the things they do, but the good they do is oft interred with their bones. Good morning. I'm Sarthak Sarkar and I'm rebutting Emerald House, who spoke for the motion. Is livelihood, not life, the more pertinent issue in COVID-affected India? On the outset, I would like to state the fact that my opponents are worthy and my worthy opponents have a logical argument. They say poverty and starvation share a cause and effect relationship. Well, I suggest don't take your logic from movies like Avengers Infinity War and amalgamate with Malthusian theory, which has been statistically disproven, dismissed, and it has been ridiculed by scholars. It doesn't hold true because the real problem lies in the uneven distribution of resources, not its inadequacy. You have to understand it by a simple statistics. Obesity kills 3 times as more as starvation does. I think that ought to clear your mind. But my worthy opponents say poverty and starvation have a cause and effect relationship. And seriously, the irony of quoting Karl Marx on problem of poverty and starvation is beyond imagination. But my worthy opponents say poverty and starvation are related, and my worthy opponents have a logical argument. They say Indian economy is going to slide into recession. The recession has 2 dynamics, short term and long term. If you allow it to prosper in the short term, it will be less harmful than in the long term. The thing is, in the long term, it will be much more devastating. I heard someone state figures of around 3.2% of the GDP being lost. Well, there's a little statistic given by game theorist Thomas Schelling called the value of a statistical life, which measures how much contribution a life makes to the economy, a life saved makes to the economy, which stands at $4 trillion, something which is more than billions, which I know you know, and they're concerned about migrant laborers. But my worthy opponents have a logical argument. They're concerned about migrant laborers. They had to leave home to get job in a normal time. Who will give it to them in a cash-strapped economy? No one. Regardless, my worthy opponents have an argument, logical argument, and I leave it to you to decide on it.
Time's up.
Say a few words. Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
So well said, Sarthak, and wish you all. And
Thank you, ma'am.
yes, ma'am. Please carry on.
Ma'am, we have come to the end of our debate. All the speakers have spoken. So just a few concluding words from your side.
Right. It was really, really very interesting. Each one of you spoke very well, and I'm really happy that most of you have done quite a good, research on the topic. Like some of you have really, you were talking with the statistics and the data, so I can understand that quite a good homework has gone behind this debate. And I'm sure that the house masters and the other teachers of the houses have really motivated and encouraged each one of you. And I would be looking forward to much more debate like this. And I would just want to understand that did you enjoy the debate? Yes, children.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's really like it's a very difficult question to answer, that whether life or livelihood, which is more important at this point of time. But then again, decisions has to be taken. We have to abide by certain decisions. And what I would say that, this is what, maybe this is a process of evolution, right? Adaptation. These are mostly important, and survival of the fittest. Again and again, these terms, these concepts becomes more true at this point of time. That struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. So like the struggle will go on, and I'm sure I can see the future leaders here today, like a day will come when you will be at the helm of the affairs. I'm sure some of you will be at the helm of the affairs to take decisions. And I am sure we are moving at the right direction as far as our children are concerned. So thanks to all the teachers and the participants, and I'll surely be looking forward to many more such debates. Thank you.